guys, Marcus here again from TalkSober.com, and today is part 2 of our Jellinek curve addiction and recovery video. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about the second part of the Jellinek curve. You'll remember in the first part, in my first video, which we'll put on the screen here if you want to watch it, right? In that first video, we talked about the things that lead people into addiction. What are the things that happen from someone taking their first drink to becoming an addict who cannot quit? And we went through that little curve. We went through how it went like this, and then went into recovery. Now up here, if we had more space, I would have had the various things leading into addiction. But you'll remember that we had some things here where people were literally unable to stop. We had people in denial, people who were reliant, thought they had it to live, they had anxiety issues and all kinds of things. Now, once they get down into this cycle, right, this is like the death spiral. This is the spiral where you can't get out, or I couldn't get out, if I keep dropping my pen here, right, or I couldn't get out. This is the part where you can't stop even if you want to. Now, I know there's a lot of videos out there of young people saying, you know, I kicked alcohol because of the health benefits, or I thought I was an alcoholic, and that's all fine and good, and they might be, but the definition of a true alcoholic is someone who cannot stop no matter what, right? When you're in this cycle, you want to stop, right? There's thoughts that go in your head that say, okay, I know something's wrong. I know I can't live like this. I don't like feeling like this, but you can't stop the cycle. Now, the funny thing about this is there's a little door here. I guess it's not really funny. It's actually kind of sad, but there's a little door here, right? And the door here is the cycle of, hey, you know what? I really want to stop this time. I hate the way that it's making me feel, and I need to get help, or I need to do something, right? But without getting help, you just keep going back through the door and keep going through the cycle, and it's really, really, really tough. Now, if you're in this cycle and you want to help, or if you know someone in this cycle and you know they need help, what you want to do first and foremost is go to the doctor, right? If you spell it correctly, right? You want to go to the doctor. Why do you want to go to the doctor? You want to go there because withdrawal leads to death, right? A lot of people say, well, you know, everyone drinks, lots of people drink, nothing's going to happen bad, I should be fine. And there's videos all over the place of people who say, well, I withdrew at home and I detoxed at home and everything like that. But this is something you don't want to mess around with. I remember when I first went into rehab 2.5 years ago, they told me, they said, you know what, there's a lot of addicts here, there's a lot of people struggling with things, and alcohol is the one, those are the people that are at the highest risk for death, because you could deal with seizures, and I know I spelled that wrong. You could deal with all different types of symptoms, delirium tremens. You're gonna, you know, I started seeing things. I didn't know where I was. I was going through literal hell when I was trying to kick this. Why? Because your body has gotten so used to having drinks every day that is now overcompensating, and it doesn't know how to live without the drinks. Your body feels like it needs to have the drinks, and if you're having a large amount or smaller amount or whatever it is you're used to, this is building up, and you know, when you stop, your body says, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do without this, and you start to seize up. And one of the very sad parts about being an alcoholic is the fact that while we go around and we tote our tolerance and say, hey man, I could drink that guy under the table, or I can drink so much more. Well, that might be a badge of honor for some people. For the alcoholic, what that means is your body is getting so used to it, your body is getting so ready to have it and so used to having it, that your tolerance levels go up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little chart on the screen here. Take a look at that chart. Now you'll notice that in that chart, some of the bad parts were like 0.4, 0.25, right? This is where you lead to seizures. This is where you lead to death. This is where all the bad stuff starts to happen. Now, for an alcoholic, for example, the day that I went into the hospital involuntarily, if you want to hear that story, I have it in this video here. Right? In that one, when I went in, I was a 0.3 something. I think it was a 0.35 or something like that. And I hadn't drank for like 4 hours, right? So I hadn't drank for 4 hours and I was still like a 0.3 something, I believe it was when I was tested. And now when you look at that, I was totally functional. Right? I was able to function. I was able to get dressed on my own. I was able to talk to the policeman and everything like that. Right? And they were like, okay, yeah, you're a little tipsy, but you're pretty much fine. I mean, it doesn't seem like you've had that much today. But I was at a deadly amount. I just didn't know it because this had become the norm. I didn't realize that I was like waiting to die any minute because of the amount that I was consuming. So this is nothing to mess with. If you are in this cycle and you're used to drinking, right, look at that chart and say to yourself, you know, where do I line up on that chart? Look at how much it takes, because for me, you know, I'd get out of somewhere and I'd think I was fine to drive. I'd be like, seriously, this is the legal limit? What are you talking about? I'm fine. I could walk on a damn balancing beam. And while I thought that was all great and fun and cool, the fact of the matter was I was impaired. My body was shutting down. I was having problems, even though I was able to function. So the most dangerous thing here is a functioning alcoholic, right? Because when I was a functioning alcoholic, no one knew what was going on. No one knew how bad it was. They had no idea, right? I would be there. I'd have people coming over for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, and I was the family chef, and I'd be cooking, and they had no idea that my coffee was filled with half vodka, right? They had no clue. They didn't know what was going on. They had no idea that I was past the legal limit at about 9 a.m. Okay, so these things are very, very difficult to look at, and one of the things also is when you're drinking, you don't eat as much, which means this stuff hits you a lot harder. So take my advice, don't screw around with this stuff. If you're going to detox, go get some help, go see someone, be honest with the amounts, tell them how much you have, tell them what you need to do, and they will get you a plan. Believe me, it's only a couple days they'll have you, or a couple days they'll give you a plan. They might let you go. I don't know how it works. But they'll help you, right? You don't want to die. This stuff, it sucks, right? You don't want to deal with that. So what happens here is you get into this cycle of being unable to stop, okay? And then after you go to the doctor and you get your help, sometimes it's difficult, right? When I first tried to get help, I went in, I signed all these papers for the rehab, and they were like, yay, great. And I thought they were going to admit me, and they sent me home, and, you know, I didn't know what to do. I was confused at the time. I was expecting these people to walk me through it, which is exactly why I'm making these videos for you, because I don't want you to be in the position I was. I don't want you to not get the help that you need to get. So if you're in this cycle and you feel like you can't stop, or maybe you could string together a week or 3 weeks, and when those week or 3 weeks, you know, are strung together, you feel good, but the fact of the matter is you keep going back. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what happens, right? The most crucial part after you do the detox at a doctor, somewhere where there's someone that could watch you, because you can go into these seizures. I have lots of friends who have gone into them. Lots of things. Very, very bad stuff. Okay, so after you get out of that, right after you get out of that, the tendency is like, okay, well, you know, go on your merry way, because the doctor's job is done. He helped you detox. That was his job. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to decide how you're going to get through the first 4 weeks, the first 30 days. These are the most crucial. These were the hardest ones, right? And they're difficult because, you know, you're dealing with a lot of these withdrawal symptoms, but just not in the magnitude, right? The alcohol has left your body. Now you're stuck with, if I can get down here, anxiety. Right, your anxiety is going to be huge. You are going to want to drink every minute you get because you're like, dude, my anxiety is going off the chart. Don't know what to do. You're also going to have irritability. Right? Irritable. Why are you irritable? Because your body has gotten rid of all this stuff and it was used to having it, right? This is a depressant, which means your body is mellow when you're drinking, right? So the anxiety goes up, the irritability goes up, inability to focus. I'm just going to put focus, with a little line through it, right? Inability to focus. All this stuff's going to be happening, and you're going to be having a hard time. Everything's going to say, hey, go back to drinking, because you saw it as a solution to all the problems for this stuff that was back here on our other chart, right? So it was a solution, and your brain's going to be like, okay, well, there's a solution, and I know it, and I know it works, because you got that built-in forgetter that says, well, I don't remember all this terrible stuff. I just remember, hey, drinking, it works. So all these things are going to pile up. You're not going to be able to focus. A lot of stuff will happen. Now, some of yours might be different. Some of yours might be better than mine. Some of yours might be worse than mine. But the fact of the matter is don't mess with it when you go into detox, which is the first minute you decide to stop drinking, right? That's when this stuff starts. That's when it's going to get really bad. Now, in order to get through your first 4 weeks, you need to have some kind of support, okay? Now, I know not a lot of people agree with, I don't want to go to a program, I don't want to go to a thing, I don't want to go through steps. That's all fine and good, and I was like that too. I searched the internet everywhere for a program that would get me through alcohol without the 12 steps, okay? Unfortunately, in that thinking, right, in that looking for that help, I was in this cycle and I needed to get out. So my family said, hey, you need to get somewhere. My wife was like, you need to go somewhere. I don't care where it is. You're signed up. You're going. Okay? And I went and I said, you know what? I really want to quit, because there was half of my brain, half of myself. All right, we'll draw like a half a person here. Half of myself wanted to quit. Yay. Half of me didn't want to quit. Right? And I was split down the middle. It's like there was this half of me that wanted to quit, half of me that didn't want to quit. And what I did is I said, you know what? Half of me that wanted to quit, I know that you're the real half. I know you're the half that knows you can do better, knows you don't need to live with this stuff. Let's do it. And so even though it was one of the rehabs I didn't want to go to because of the 12-step thing, I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to learn it. Right? So number one, get yourself support. That's why they recommend going to 90 meetings in 90 days. Why? Is it so that you can get indoctrinated into this stuff? No, it's discipline, right? It's doing something every day that's not drinking, because up until now you've been doing something every day and it involves drinking, right? So we need to change those patterns. We need to get you to learn, one, you're not alone. Other people feel like you. Other people think like you. Other people are going through this struggle, right? So that's why that helps, and if you can do it, do it. One, it's going to help with anxiety, because you're going to sit there and you're going to be anxious and you're going to hate it and you're not going to want to be there. Sometimes someone's going to say something that's going to make you be like, dude, those are fighting words. Sometimes things are going to happen, right? Not that they actually get in fights, they just irritate you with certain things people say. Some people are irritating, let's just face the fact. But what happens is you're going to sit there and you're going to train yourself and say, you know what? For the last 90 days, I've been able to sit here. My anxiety hasn't killed me. I haven't been so irritated I blew up or whatever, right? And I'm doing okay. And that's what we want to do, is train your brain that now thinks that it needs alcohol to survive. Train your brain that you don't need it to survive anymore, right? And it's going to be tough for the first 4 weeks. That's why you need some support. If you have anyone who drinks in your household, try to stop that, or try to get them on board with, you know, hey, maybe don't drink for this time because I'm trying to do okay. So get some support, outside support, inside support, whatever you can get, okay? Online support, there's tons of support groups. You could go to talksober.com. We have plans set up, talksober.com/help. You'll get the plans, you'll get the tips on dealing with all this, right? Now, when you get to your first 90 days, this is when your brain starts to recover. All right, I think that's better, right? The first 90 days is when your brain starts to recover. That means it starts to go back to where it was, okay? What's going to happen is your thoughts are going to start being clear. You're going to start to think different. You're going to start to feel good. Now, during your first 3 months, 90 days, during your first 90 days, you're going to deal with some people are tired, low energy, okay? What I say is that for the first 90 days, you want to allow yourself a lot of forgiveness, right? You want to say, well, I'm in this mess. I was down there in this junk. I don't want to be down there in the junk anymore, because if I drink, chances are my brain isn't healed enough, and that's my lousy drawing of a drink, chances are my brain's not healed enough and it's going to say, well, yay, hey, that works. Let's go back to the cycle, okay? Because your brain's got that forgetter. It's going to say, well, I only remember the good stuff. I only remember the good times. I don't remember the bad. Okay, so allow yourself a lot of forgiveness. Okay? Read good stuff. Listen to good. Okay? It doesn't have to be just recovery related. It could be philosophy or life or help or whatever it is, okay? You want to do this. Now, what I did is the minute I got out of rehab, I started listening to a talk every night. Okay, for the first part, I listened to some recovery talks, I listened to some philosophy, some life coaching, some things like that. I made it a thing, and I still do it to this day, however many days later it is. I think we're going on like 1,000 days no drinking. But for the last 1,000 days, what I did is I listened to something every night, okay? Because this stuff changes you. I know people say, well, TV doesn't affect my children. Yes, it does. That's a lie. TV affects the children. It affects the adults. That's why you got those people who watch, you know, doctor shows or crazy stuff at night, and then they wonder why they can't sleep. It's because it affects you. Now, listening to good stuff, even if you fall asleep to it, I did that for a long time, just make sure you're getting it. Make sure it's absorbing. For the first 90 days, you're going to have a lot of trouble sleeping. That's what happened with me. So I listened to this stuff, and I read, and I researched things, and I said, what can I do? Because what it does is now I got 1,000, probably 1,000 hours, probably more, 1,000 hours of good stuff in my brain, right? And that's going to start to affect things, and that's what led me to my first 6 months. And, you know, sometimes I realized within the first 6 months, sometimes I just felt bad. Okay? Sometimes I had trouble coming to grips with, hey, what did I do? Who did I hurt? What did I screw up when I was drinking? Sometimes I just had a day where I was irritated and I felt bad and I wanted to like go slap people in the face. But I said, you know what? I remember the one thing I learned, and that is some days you just feel like crap, which goes back to forgiveness, right? Give yourself some forgiveness. Say, you know what? I've been through this cycle, I've been through hell, and now it's time to start getting better. And if I have a bad day, it doesn't mean I need to go drink. If I have a bad argument with someone, it doesn't mean I need to go drink. If I feel bad, if I don't get my hour of listening in, right? It's not time to call it quits. We need to keep going with forward momentum. All right, now when we get into this, you're going to have some days where you feel bad the first 9 months, and during this, you're also going to have a lot of days where you feel really good, right? Your body's getting back to normal, your brain's getting back to normal, and you're starting to feel good. And that's going to lead us to the first 9 months, right? Do this stuff. If you get through the 90 meetings in 90 days or whatever it is, I don't care what you go to some kind of anti-drinking or do something consistently for 90 days, okay? Something related to not drinking, okay? And you're going to start to drinking, there we go, and you're going to start to develop a new outlook. You're going to start to develop a new way of thinking. You're going to stop going through the patterns that were bad, and you're going to start to see that you are in control of this stuff. While you might have a bad thought or two or a day where you feel bad, it doesn't control you anymore. And then when you get to your first 6 months, right, you're going to start to feel better. 9 months, first year. Now, the crucial parts are here. One, getting to your 30 days is the biggest. That's the hardest one, okay? I am a big advocate of, hey, if you can't string 30 days together, go to rehab. They'll do the detox for you and stuff like that. Very, very good. Okay, 30 days is very difficult to make it to. 90 days is another difficult one to make it to, right? A lot of people have trouble making it to 90 days or 6 months or 9 months or a year, right? Studies show that if you get through your first 90 days, your chances of long-term sobriety increase. Just put a little arrow there. If you get to your first year, up here, I think you can see it up there. All right, there's a first year. Let's get you guys up there. There we go. First year, 365 days, your chances increase dramatically. Getting to the first year point is key for most people. And what I'm doing right now is showing you how to get through that first year. First of all, we need to get through this bad cycle. Okay, this bad cycle. So if you're caught in a loop and you're caught in a cycle, do what you got to do to get help. Go over to talksober.com/help. Put your name and email in the box, look at the links, watch the videos, get help somehow, some way. This is deadly. We're talking, don't mess around with it, okay? Get the help you need. Then get through your first 30 days. And remember, you've done a lot of things for 30 days, 90 days, a year, right? It's not the end of the world. No matter how bad things have gotten, they can get better just as fast. It's not that hard to change your life. It's not that hard to turn over this new leaf. Now, I know that a lot of rehabs and places like that have cute little mountains and things like that, and that was the last thing I wanted. I wanted someone to come in and say, this is how you stay sober. Here's what is going on in your brain. Here's how to make it to the 90, 180, 270. Here's how to make it to a year, because once you make it to that year, you're doing all right, right? It's not like forever you're good. You still got some things, like I still got some things I deal with, but the fact of the matter is you don't have to drink anymore. So I hope you liked this video on the Jellinek curve and dealing with the spiral and dealing with the good stuff. And again, if you're going to detox, go get help. Don't screw around with this stuff. If you need help, go to talksober.com/help. If you're looking for support groups, on that page, talksober.com/help, we have a list of support groups, a list of things you can do, and some cool videos, because I want to see you get sober. So put your comments in the videos below. Let me know if this stuff's helping you, and let's make this work together. And here's to a new life. Thanks again. I'm Marcus from talksober.com.